Right now, the National Weather Desk.
Oh, wow, look, tornado in the theater.
Severe weekend weather, strong winds, hail, and tornadoes slam the central U.S.
Didn't know what to think. I've never seen anything like this with any of my own property.
Wildfires still burn in the Carolinas. Why today's weather could make things worse.
What we're advising our residents is to maintain their situational awareness, be prepared to evacuate if conditions were to change.
2 years since a devastating tornado in Arkansas. We'll look back at this historic storm.
It was right there for that damage where those homes were completely destroyed.
We'll help you better understand the difference between watches and warnings.
Remember, watches always mean conditions are favorable for storms developing versus a warning means they are happening and ongoing.
And a warning for spring breakers heading to the beach.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Severe weather battered the central U.S. on Sunday from lower Michigan down to northern Louisiana and eastern Texas. The system brought damaging winds, large hail, and reports of tornadoes. There were more than 70 tornado warnings on Sunday, with hundreds of thousands losing power as well. At least 2 deaths were reported in Indiana and 3 others in Michigan. This tornado was captured Sunday afternoon as the storms developed and pushed into the Arkansas area. The tornado spun up quickly but was weak, causing very little damage. A second tornado was also captured in the area, lasting only around a few minutes and also not causing any major damage. Both of these twisters were captured by our storm chaser, Britta Dare, right there. In Louisiana, Kentucky area, a crew was out looking for damage as the severe weather passed through and was caught on camera. You can see it here. A tree had fallen into a road and a car smashed right into it. The driver had to be checked out by EMS. It's a reminder, though, to be extra cautious when driving in wet and stormy weather. Look at that. Parts of Michigan have trees and power lines down after that same system brought high winds on Sunday. And sadly, we know the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office reports 3 family members are dead after a tree fell in a car and 3 others are hurt. As of this morning, more than 200,000 Michigan customers are without power. Businesses and homeowners are assessing the damage left behind. We have 2 reports for you, beginning with Tyler Brummett, who spoke with one shop owner who was amazed by the destruction and also the support, though, he is getting from the community.
Well, we're standing inside the tire shop right now, and I kind of just want to show you some of the damage. Take a look at this right here. You can see the windows are now boarded up hours after that storm came through because the wind from the storm just busted out these windows. I actually want to show you some video. Take a look at your screen right now. You can see right here the wind just coming through, busting out the windows. This video was provided by the owner. He tells me that he's grateful that this wasn't any worse. He says he immediately got a call from the insurance company basically saying, hey, something is going on at your business. He tells me that so many people have come out to help him out in this time of need. He says he plans on being open tomorrow, but nonetheless, he knows it'll be a long road to recovery.
Didn't know what to think. I've never seen anything like this with any of my own property, and but I was amazed by all the people that are our customers that came out to help. It was amazing, all the people we've got to come help us.
And this isn't the only damage we saw. Take a look at this. We saw an awning over some gas pumps that was actually turned over outside of a Marathon gas station in Kalamazoo, just off US 131. So again, a lot of damage there. The gas station had to shut down because of what happened there. So again, a lot of damage in some communities here in West Michigan. The owner here at this tire shop says, obviously, this, while it might be a pain, he's just glad that no one was seriously hurt here at his business.
Sturgis was in the path of a tornado warning, but for the people of St. Joseph County, no tornado touchdown was ever confirmed. However, they did experience minor damage. That includes several trees being taken out by straight-line winds. You can see this tree down, fortunately missing this Sturgis home. Down power lines also across US 12 as several trees are down, but none in the road. Both the St. Joseph County Sheriff's Office and Sturgis Public Safety confirmed to News Channel 3 that they only received minor damage in the area. They both say there were no injuries confirmed to their departments. The Sheriff's Office says they brace for much more damage but experience less than expected. St. Joseph County Sheriff Chad Spence says the communication amongst the responding agencies, that's Central Dispatch, Fire, the Sheriff's Office, and Police, was excellent. He said they needed to come together in this moment and that they absolutely did.
And that storm system will move east today, bringing the threat of severe weather from northern Pennsylvania to as far south as Louisiana and Florida. Thunderstorms, strong winds, hail, and tornadoes are all possible. If you live in any of these areas, be sure you remain weather aware throughout the day. In Wisconsin, winter weather was the story over the weekend. Strong winds and ice caused major problems and knocked out power to thousands. Savannah Wood reports from Green Bay.
Northeast Wisconsin woke up to freezing rain Sunday morning. The freezing rain spanned over the northern half of the area all day Sunday. Accumulating ice on trees and power lines resulted in power outages for tens of thousands in northeast Wisconsin. Green Bay and the Fox Cities saw mostly rain. Locals say they're used to worse.
Way back in the 50s, growing up in that, the weather was really heavy. Yeah.
Not as much anymore.
No, better to stay in the house and lay back on the couch, or I have a recliner, turn the TV on and fall asleep.
This delivery driver in Wisconsin narrowly escaped a falling tree branch due to the ice storm. In this video submitted via Chime In, the driver appears to have noticed something was off here, wasn't right, looked up and bolted out of the way. You can kind of see it right here as quickly as they possibly could before that branch came crashing down right there. Thunderstorms dropped heavy rain and some hail over northwest Florida on Sunday. It led to soaked yards, flooded parking lots, and also streets. The water also overran a department store at a mall in Pensacola and sent water cascading down the steps and into the shoe section. As rain moved into the mountains of North Carolina yesterday, mandatory evacuations were lifted for the Table Rock fire. The fire is just one of several burning in the Carolinas. It has scorched over 13,000 acres. Justin Berger has more.
It's wonderful weather. It's the best weather I've seen in a long time.
Dan DeWitt and his wife returned to their Cedar Lane rental Sunday afternoon. Their home in Sherwood Forest also in the evacuation zone.
Cut down a lot of rhododendrons around the house, blew the leaves. I actually had a sprinkler on the house, on the roof for a few hours on Friday.
They left midweek.
Initially when I left, I wasn't very worried.
Taking up residence with some neighbors at the Brevard Hampton Inn.
It was almost like a Sherwood Forest annex.
The Table Rock fire is 9% contained, mostly affecting the upstate. The fire has burned around 600 acres in Transylvania County. Private property makes up only about 2 acres of that figure. The rest of that acreage is made up of state forest land.
In that yellow area, where we're advising our residents is to maintain their situational awareness, be prepared to evacuate if conditions were to change. But for right now, we really do feel strongly that we can lift that evacuation order.
With the chance of severe weather Monday, Lauder says crews continue to closely monitor. There is still a burn ban in effect. You can see here outside of North Transylvania Fire and Rescue, no burning. Lauder says there have been no injuries and no structures damaged due to Table Rock here in North Carolina.
Evacuation orders are in place for multiple counties near Fresno, California. That's due to the Silver Fire that officials say also caused the closure of a 30-mile stretch of highway. CAL FIRE says the blaze is spreading rapidly and things could get worse today as the National Weather Service warns of high winds in that area. And as we get ready to head into April, there is a new temperature outlook. It is not such great news for Southern California, where things could be warmer and drier than average. Meteorologist Nick Russo has more.
April is upon us, so it's time to look ahead to our climate outlook for the next 3 months across the U.S. This includes April, May, and June. Warmer than average temperatures are likely across much of the southern and eastern U.S. as we head through the next 3 months. And in general, that's to be expected moving forward. We know that with global warming, our temperatures are going to trend warmer than average, not just for the spring, but most seasons in the future. In terms of our rainfall forecast, the Climate Prediction Center expects above average rainfall towards the Great Lakes region, while the Four Corners region of the desert Southwest likely stays drier than average as we head through the spring months.
The iconic cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C. are now in peak bloom. Thousands of visitors flock to the nation's capital each year to see the trees, according to the, of course, National Park Service. They reached peak bloom Friday, meaning about 70% of more than 3,000 trees are flowering. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look back at a historic storm that slammed Arkansas 2 years ago this week, and will help you better understand the difference between a storm watch and a storm warning.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Munn. Let's get a look at the Northeast as we head through the day on Monday. We are going to see rain for many areas, maybe a little bit of mix and snow up towards the north and mountains of Maine as we head through the morning hours. Cold front passes through. We are going to see the threat for some thunderstorms in spots, especially in southern New England as we head through the day on Monday. But the sunshine will return as we head through Tuesday. High temperatures for today all over the place, 40s and 50s in Maine, 60s and 70s elsewhere.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We're going to be tracking some thunderstorms as we move through the afternoon. These could be on the strong to severe side with damaging winds, large hail, even an isolated tornado threat. That covers the entire Delmarva region all the way down to the Carolinas. These thunderstorms will roll through as we move through the late evening, and then by Tuesday, we are dry and cooler again. Temperatures will have a chance to get up to the 70s to even low 80s, but as we move into Tuesday, we'll take a big drop in temperatures. Highs will only reach around 60 to the 50s.
I'm meteorologist Vetus Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs. We're looking at Tupelo at 65 degrees, 69 in Atlanta, 73 Macon, Charleston 77 degrees, Tampa 86, and Raleigh about 80. So it looks like what we're seeing is some clouds across the southeast, some storms moving through parts of Mississippi and Alabama through the morning afternoon. As we get later in the day through the panhandle like Tallahassee down through Augusta, Georgia, and out towards the Carolinas, some gusty storms. Then we start to clear up through the overnight.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
The skies give us plenty of time to showcase their artwork, like this circular halo. This atmospheric phenomenon happened late last week. Circular halos happen when sunlight passes through ice crystals in cirrus clouds high in the sky. That light gets refracted, then forms a halo around the sun. Now to a moment of peace with this view of a sunrise in Jonesboro, Tennessee.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.
March 31st marks 2 years since a fierce tornado ransacked parts of Little Rock, Arkansas. The twister was spotted on a radar and video as it was happening. The results were devastating. Chief Meteorologist Barry Brandt looks back at one of the hardest hit neighborhoods during that storm.
It's a sight no one wants to see, a large tornado moving into a highly populated area. But that's exactly what happened in Little Rock on March 31st, 2023. The tornado formed from a storm that we at Channel 7 and National Weather Service Warning Coordination meteorologist Dennis Kavanaugh had been watching for more than an hour.
Yeah, we've been watching it since it developed over Pike County, moved northeast over Hot Springs, and then continued into West Little Rock.
That rotation ramped up quickly. It began doing damage near Chenal Parkway, then moved across Napa Valley Road toward the Walnut Valley neighborhood. During our tornado coverage, live video from storm chaser Brett Adair confirmed our worst fears.
It's gonna hit the radio tower, go.
This was a large tornado. The tornado crested the hill at about 1/3 of a mile wide and was getting stronger. This is where the worst damage of the entire 35-mile tornado path occurred.
The peak winds we estimated to be 165 miles an hour, and a lot of it was right there for that damage where those homes were completely destroyed, where you can see that the whole walls collapsed, and then the house itself collapsed in just on its own weight.
While hundreds of homes were damaged, some severely, many of the structures still had some walls intact. People took shelter in their homes as the tornado struck, and amazingly, there was no loss of life directly related to high winds with this tornado. It's living proof that taking shelter in the correct area of your home could very well save your life.
If you let the walls absorb the debris and you're not being struck directly by the debris, you're probably going to survive that tornado.
We talk about severe weather all the time right here on the National Weather Desk, but what turns a regular thunderstorm into a severe one? Meteorologist Garrett Hyde tells us.
Severe storms typically are defined as winds gusting upwards of about 58 miles per hour or greater, as well as hail being about a quarter size or larger, and of course, more obviously, if a tornado is present. But if there is a threat for severe weather, typically a watch will be issued usually about a few hours out ahead of storms before they develop. Now, remember, watches always mean conditions are favorable for storms developing versus a warning means they are happening and ongoing. You can think of it kind of like a pizza, if you want to think about it that way. Watches, you have all the ingredients in place, such as the dough, the sauce, cheese, toppings, all on the counter. It's ready to go. But once that pizza is finally out of the oven, it's cooked, it's ready to be eaten, that's when that warning is going to be issued, and that would be the time you'd want to be taking action. Of course, there are also levels to these warnings now. The baseline severe thunderstorm warning, something we mentioned earlier. However, as winds become a bit more severe, and a considerable severe thunderstorm warning would be issued, meaning storms are capable of producing 70-mile-per-hour winds and or golf ball-sized hail. The last one, a destructive severe thunderstorm warning, will not only set off sirens, but will actually set off your cell phone as well. These are some of the most dangerous storms that are producing winds of around 80 miles an hour or greater and can produce baseball-sized hail. Of course, when these storms are in the forecast, there are some things you can do ahead of time, such as trimming back trees, secure or bring in any of those loose objects, as well as move in any patio furniture, park a car in the garage, those kinds of things. But once a warning is issued, you want to make sure you're staying away from any of those exterior walls and windows and treat severe storms like a tornado warning and make sure you're going to your safe place.
One weather phenomenon that can prevent severe weather is called the cap. Meteorologist Sharon Ray explains what it is.
What is the cap? Well, it's actually a layer of warm air aloft. Now, keep in mind the air normally cools as you go higher up into the atmosphere. So as it cools as you go higher up, and we get that daytime heating, when the sun's out during the day and it heats the surface, that air warms up. It continues to rise because the air surrounding it is a little bit cooler. It'll continue to rise as long as the surrounding air is cooler. But if it hits into a warm layer of air, it stops rising. It loses its buoyancy. So we can get clouds that develop as warm air rises on some days, but they won't vertically develop because there may be that layer of warm air. These often develop a few thousand feet above the surface, and usually when we get a west-southwest dry, warm wind coming in from Mexico or Texas, and that's when this happens. Now, when we do not have a strong enough layer of that warm air, we can see the cap, which we call it, breaking, meaning if the air is rising, it's warming, it continues to rise into the cooler air aloft. If it hits that cap, sometimes it can be strong enough. You can get enough lift to where it'll break through it. If it does manage to break through the cap, or if this warm layer is eroded away by cooler air aloft, then that's when you get the vertical development of the thunderstorms, and they can ignite very quickly. So the cap is something very tricky in weather forecasting, because if it's there, we have to determine how long is it going to last before that air can break through it, and thunderstorms can develop.
And we shared Sharon's video about the cap on our Facebook page. We also have many other videos to help you better understand the weather on all of our social media accounts. To find us, just search the National Weather Desk. And a warning for people who are looking to escape winter weather and head to the beach for spring break. Beaches are already packed in Florida. And as Jamilka Gibson reports, officials are sounding the alarm over ocean hazards.
We're really going to see just a steady increase throughout the spring and into the summer. You know, now we're really getting into our busy season.
As thousands of people flock to Florida for spring break, Martin County Fire Rescue is reminding beachgoers of the importance of beach safety.
We don't want to be reactive. We want to be preventative when we speak to the public.
Ocean Rescue Chief Ian Mojala says rip currents are one of the biggest dangers lurking around. Last year, 2 parents vacationing from Pennsylvania lost their lives after being caught in a rip current at Stewart Beach behind Hutchison Island Resort by Marriott. At the time, single red flags were raised, warning of rough surf. Water safety officials say they're working around the clock to prevent these types of tragedies. Currently, at least 25 full-time lifeguards patrol the county's 4 guarded beaches, including Jensen, Stewart, Bathtub, and Hobe Sound, notifying people of the flag system and the condition of the waters. But in the event of an emergency, Ocean Rescue says they have the training and tools needed to facilitate a rescue.
The good thing about our department is that we have the tools necessary to go respond to those areas if something were to happen. So we have our side-by-sides, we have our ATVs, we have a jet ski. So we have tools. If there was an emergency in an unguarded area, we could get there quickly.
As we go to break, a look at the cherry blossoms blooming at the University of Washington.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Sarah Converse. Rain moving out of the Ohio River Valley and a high pressure system is sinking into the Midwest. This is going to bring us dry conditions to start off the day. 50s for most areas in the Midwest. A little bit cooler though over in South Bend at 43. And then we'll have another low pressure system climb through the area. That's going to bring some rain and snow showers for parts of the Dakotas.
Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look to forecast across the region. We're watching for strong and severe thunderstorms near New Orleans this morning. Heavy rain, gusty winds, and some hail possible. That will be pushing to the east. An isolated rain chance into the afternoon. Temperatures will be in the low 80s along the Gulf Coast. Cooler, though, and less humid up to the north, North Texas and Oklahoma, Arkansas. A little bit of a cooler day. But severe weather returns to the region on Tuesday across Texas and Oklahoma.
Good Monday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. An area of low pressure will swing its way in, hitting the west coast, giving widespread showers up and down the I-5 corridor from Seattle down towards San Francisco. We are expecting mountain snow through Idaho and in eastern Oregon and in Washington. Temperatures will be plunging into the low 50s from Seattle to Portland, upper 50s expected in San Francisco with rain showers through LA, 63 degrees. Drier conditions in Phoenix, 83 degrees there, 58 in Salt Lake City. That's the scene from here.
Watching the National Weather Desk.
Severe thunderstorms can often produce hail. To understand how it happens, we turn to meteorologist Darren Leeds.
Thunderstorms have these things called updrafts. It is a rising column of warm and moist air. It's really how those storms begin to develop. And as they're taking in moisture, that's when we can begin to see that hail begin to form. As we do watch that updraft suck in more of that liquid and it's reaching above that freezing point, then we start to see hail form. And the more it kind of moves up and down within that thunderstorm, the more layers that hailstone can then accumulate as it is kind of stuck in that updraft. But eventually the weight of that hailstone is going to exceed the force of that updraft, and then it is going to fall down to the ground. So depending on how strong that updraft is, we can really see layer upon layer get added onto those hailstones. Updrafts that aren't that strong, we typically maybe see 1 to 1.5 inch hail before that thing is finally breaking free of that updraft and falling down to the ground as a hailstone.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.